It's very, very odd what they're doing. I guess they know what they're doing.
Maybe there was a reason
I
for
was
it.
looking for something great, I couldn't find it anywhere.
It don't start till 7, but
They're lining up.
There is
I guess.
statute.
So I guess what Christina told me is they were gonna start lining up over here, and that's what I was worried about, but they made them move to the front.
And so we don't have 15 days.
So I was worried that we
Yeah.
wouldn't have
So, yeah.
access over here.
Or
Or get blocked in, yeah, can't get out, so
Oh, it would.
they moved
So
them
if
to the
we get
front.
hold of them in the morning, fix the type of graphical area. Maybe it could become.
Yeah.
But what if they come up?
No, it's
2
not.
weeks or 3 weeks.
Our public
Well, they
hearing
put a
3
few
weeks.
more
3 weeks,
pictures on it,
okay.
so we ain't
Yeah, so
gonna get out
that's
there
the 2
for
weeks
usual
runs.
hours.
Gotcha, yeah, that works.
But if I can get them in the morning, so I've got Christina on that, and that'll determine whether or not we can go through, is my understanding, but I want to talk to you about it before it came up.
No, I appreciate it, that's right. You're right.
But if we get it this week, awesome, if we can't get it this week, we wouldn't, even if we got it changed for the next week, we still wouldn't need our.
Wouldn't matter, because we wouldn't have 15 days.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, folks, so it's time to get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to P&Z Business Meeting, and we'll call this meeting to order, and if you would please stand with me for prayer, and then we'll get started. So, Father, thank you for this day, thank you for life, thank you for health, thank you for strength, thank you for allowing us to meet and try to do the county's business. Our Father, we pray for this world, pray for this county, pray for everybody that I do about, pray for a special blessing for Miss Patrick's mother this afternoon, that we heard that she's in not good shape. But we all believe that you are in charge, and everything that's done is up to you. Our Father, we ask you to bless each and every one of us as we do what we've been assigned to do tonight. And our Father, will be so careful to give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. At this time, I guess our first order of business, I'll ask Christopher, if he would, just to, before I get into the real business, to update us on the status of Ms. Patrick.
Yes, sir, thank you, sir. And just for legal counsel, I did get the permission to share this, and I did along. Ms. Patrick's mother, last week had a massive coronary. Lost blood flow to her heart for over an hour, or half of her heart. And for over an hour, they were able to bring her back. She's been in ICU since, on a ventilator and off a ventilator, but now she's going into organ failure. And it's only a matter of time before her passing.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We encourage all of you to keep the Patrick and her family in prayer. At this time, we don't have any guests, so I'm sure most all of you have received, either through your packet or email, the minutes of our September 5th regular business meeting and our September 19th public hearing. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, okay?
I'll second.
Second, by Lee. Couple motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote, starting with Stephanie.
Yeah.
Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The minutes of September 5th and September 19th have been approved. Going to a new business, discussion of zoning applications for October 17th, 2023. Chris, I'm assuming you're gonna handle this?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You approve it?
On you.
Yes, sir. First matter, or item on the agenda is Barry and Mary German. They're requesting to rezone their 16.9 acres from A2 to AR to allow 3 5.63 acre splits for future home sites for themselves and their 2 children. The property is located at 0 Drake Woods Road. It has been assigned a 911 address at this point in time. That is in Danielsville on map and parcel 0022 011-01 in District 2.
Anything unique about this one?
No, sir. At this point in time, there's no homes on the property. That's the reason it has the 0 address and the structure on the property. I believe, based off the information that I have, that they're just wanting to come and settle in as Madison County residents.
All right, any questions about that one or any discussion? If not, moving on.
If it does matter, if anybody is looking on the tax map, it is right in line with several non-conforming 5-acre A1s, A2s. This would be a step for this community into conformity.
We got plenty of road frontage on this to be able to
Yes,
meet
sir.
everything.
That they do. Any comments, concerns?
No. Moving on.
Moving on, yes, sir. Agenda item number 2 is Joseph and Theresa Carroll. They're requesting to rezone a 4-acre portion from their property, which is an A1 to an AR, to split off for a home site for their daughter, and to rezone the remaining 17.4 acres from an A1 to a conforming A2 to bring the property into compliance with zoning regulations. The property is located at 1450 Adderhall Rogers Road in Commerce, Georgia, on map 0012, parcel 049, and that would be in District 1.
I noticed on this site map that there's part of the little strip down the side of the 4 acres, is that gonna remain with the rest of the property? Is that where that they have their road frontage?
Oh, that map, okay.
I'm trying to go past the site map right now.
Is it on the site plan?
Coming off the site plan where that drive is in the house. Nope, sorry, I flipped to the next one, my apologies. I forgot I printed double-sided on there. There we go.
That's part right here.
That little part right there?
Yeah.
That should, after the turn, be, no, I hit this roll, sorry. There appears to be
282?
282. I'm trying to read it without my glasses on.
It's 282.
282.
282.78, I think.
It would give them the opportunity with the 4 acres to have enough road frontage. Trying to bring it up on the big screen. There we go. It should be something. Yes.
No.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
There you go,
There you go.
right
Yeah.
So the 4 acres would take up the road frontage. What's the name?
Yeah, I mean, when you blow it up, it's not enough resolution to see it. But it starts with a 6. It looks like 60 point something.
60 point something, so they should be able to have enough to have the 2 drives.
But they won't be able to get back to their property if they don't know the driving.
There's no mention of an easement, is what I was looking for at this point in time.
That's where their driveway is.
Yeah.
Where their existing drive is on that right hand side.
Oh, that's existing.
This is exactly existing drive.
Yeah, because there should be a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just take our own
It's the house, I believe it'd be making a Flagstaff property.
Yeah, it's not an easement.
Yeah.
Teresa's pointing out, if you blow it up, like I can't on the computer screen, it looks like these put in the dots for there's an existing driveway there and that little 60 feet.
Mm-hmm. That goes to the house that's already existing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see that.
So if they're leaving a 60-foot strip there for a driveway, they don't have to have 150 feet of road frontage for the 17-acre portion?
This comes into making the Flagstaff lot. I'm not sure if there's a topographical issue that causes them from going back with the 4 acres and splitting the difference at this point in time. That'd probably be a very good question to ask them on the 3rd.
Or tell them before then if that's not sufficient road frontage.
Yeah.
What's the road frontage requirement?
150 foot
At the setback line?
at the setback.
Okay.
So,
that's 200 something feet, so the setback's definitely within that line, so,
yes,
yeah, that's not gonna work.
they're gonna have to change their site plan to elongate that 4 acres going further back to allow the parent parcel to have 150 foot of road frontage.
Well, not elongated, they're gonna have to move that line north.
And the 4 acres
And
can
then bring it back this way, so actually square it up some.
So we need to reach out to them and ask them for an updated site map, or site plan for the public hearing.
Yeah, and, again, we typically don't, although if anybody was watching last night, we got in a long discussion about conditions, but typically on these, we don't make the exact configuration part of the zoning, it's just when they brought, just let them know that's not gonna work after, they bring that in afterwards.
So you're saying bring the line on the road, on the driveway more to the right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bring it.
So would that take away the 4 acres?
No,
Oh, and then
back.
I'll move it back.
Move it to the rectangle.
Still the line back.
Oh, okay.
Still be 4 acres.
I wonder
I
where
think the
house
acreage is there to come into conformity with the county standards. I don't know why they were not informed of that. Yeah, I'm not sure why they were advised of that. Council, I'm sorry. Mike, I'd have to ask you, with it being the parent parcel, and the parent parcel going to a Flagstaff, is that a violation of that 150 foot if they had the 60 foot?
Yeah, I mean, they're creating taking one lot and trying to turn it into 2 lots, and they both have to meet the
They both
requirements.
have to meet the requirements.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was
Yeah, we don't, I don't think the term flag lot appears anywhere in our ordinance, or there may be a,
It's short.
yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of having the road width requirements, is to prevent the skinny flag lots.
Yes.
But at one time, we had flag lots, I thought we did away with it, didn't we?
Yes, sir, that's right, by having that
Right.
100 foot requirement.
Staff will reach out.
And that will be some questions that we'll be able to at least share with them when they come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So even if they chose to share a driveway, would they still have to have the road frontage?
Yeah, well.
I'm just wondering, I don't know where they're putting the house, what, if they're just you know.
So it's an interesting question. So if, you know, they could just bring it all the way down and have no road frontage and have an easement, and we would allow that.
Yeah.
But if you have, it's sort of the way our ordinance is written, if you have an inch of frontage, you gotta have 150 feet.
Okay.
It's an odd.
Well, that's why I asked
agree with
if it's a shared driveway, then the 4 acres would have the road frontage. So,
No, I see your point, I see your point.
but we don't know where, you know, if they're gonna share it or where they're putting the house or.
But it's sort of, I think the way our ordinance is written, you either have to have the minimum frontage or you have to have an easement.
Come through, and if we did an easement, it'd be accessible at this point in time, but we'd be creating a private drive essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd only be serving one lot,
And then we
so.
might have to look at the county's new ordinance on private drive.
No, it'd only be serving one lot, so that would be a problem, but,
Well, once the staff reach out to them, there's several options you can give them. Let them decide what they want to do.
Yes.
The easement.
Will you make a note of that?
Done.
Thank you. I don't know why that.
yeah. I mean, I get the point, they could extend that line down, it'd be 4.1 acres or whatever, and then you could get a 60-foot easement to the back lot, that's fine.
Yeah. You know,
But if you don't extend the line down, you don't meet minimum road frontage.
yeah.
It's just an odd result of people writing words.
It's a conundrum, though, at this point, you know, from an easement and drive and extending it.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a planning standpoint, typically we don't like easements and private drives and all that. We'd rather them have this, you know, the 150-foot road frontage.
So, Mr. Carter, as the board just to let y'all know, staff will reach out and ask them whether or not they would extend the 4 acres to more than 4 acres, to take the property line, put an easement in, or change the shape of the 4 acres to allow both parcels to have 150. But,
Well, I still don't think Stephanie's question got answered. What if they shared the driveway?
Yeah,
Not
like,
the easement, just share the driveway.
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, our ordinance doesn't allow it. Our ordinance says you've either got to have an easement or 150-foot road frontage.
Okay, so you can't just have a shared
And
driveway.
you can't just have a shared
Okay.
driveway. I mean, it would make sense, but it's not in our ordinance.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
I just know that, so, I mean, they have enough road frontage to put a driveway in wherever they want. I just know some people, to cut costs, maybe they would share a driveway, depending on where they're putting the house.
Yeah, I mean, and again, they could give us the 150 feet of frontage there, they can still use the same driveway if
Yeah.
they want to, that's up to them.
Yeah. It got answered.
Okay, all right. Well, all right, let's move on to the next one then.
yes, sir. Number 3, Darren Hale is requesting to rezone his 12.296 acres from A2 to AR to allow a 4-acre split with his existing home to retain and to sell the remaining 8.296 acres. The property is located at 817 Diamond Hill Meets Road in Colbert, Georgia on map 0030, parcel 125 in District 3. Scroll back. Sorry, I like the visual, I'm sorry. Quieter, just doing this,
Yeah.
guys. Let's see, here's the property in question. It has multiple, roads that it fronts, Diamond Hill Niche Road and then Ed Cole Road. The tax map. Oh, that little piece has been Z-barred in, sorry. Making that one up. Here we go. So essentially, he's wanting to cut off this 4 acres where the mouse is with his existing home
Mm-hmm.
and to sell the additional 8 and change have sufficient road frontage coming in and everything would be brought to compliance.
Any questions on this one?
So there's enough road frontage on Ed Coyle Road,
No, but there is on
But-
the buildings.
so you only have to have it on one,
Right.
okay.
Quick question of point for council. I'm looking at this and I'm sorry if I'm looking at that rabbit. I thought we had a minimum lot width of 150 foot. Does that include if they narrow this passage here?
Well, they've got 134.85 plus 128.42 on each, on Diamond on each road.
No, I'm not talking about the road frontage, the width of the parcel in general. I thought we couldn't approve it. I'm just asking for clarity.
Yeah.
On here, this narrow point using a legend
Right there.
is under 150 foot.
But it has, well, all I know of, off the top of my head, is 150 feet in setback.
Just the setback.
I don't know of anything that says it has to retain that for its entire.
Yeah, 'cause we had one not too long
We did.
ago
We had a little
that had
edge
that
on
little
it.
throughway,
Vector
yeah.
strip. It just flagged in my head, I
Yeah.
apologize. I was thinking about it.
You read this ordinance every day more than I do, but all I know of is the 150 is the setback.
Okay.
No questions?
Number 4, this is Tanya Menish. She is requesting to rezone her .51 acres from an A1 to an R1 to absorb 1 acre from the adjoining property to include the septic lines, as well as for an existing home on the property, and to bring the property into compliance with our zoning regulations. The property is located at 37 Red Oak Road in Hull, map 0015, parcel 124, and this would be in District 1.
I got a question.
If I had my,
I'm sorry, she's making this an acre and a half less non-conforming than what it was. Is R1 the only answer?
I've had phone conversations with this lady in particular. The parcel up here on the tax map, this has a pre-existing home, as does the AR here. The only reason they want to change it, the lady that owns both of them is wanting to sell this sliver, and the septic lines cross the property line. And that's the only reason I know of for a change, otherwise they keep on trucking. If we did combine it,
I don't think she has.
So to answer Lee's
another
question,
option.
yeah, the only way you can create a new non-conforming parcel would be with a variance. We don't have a variance for acreage minimums.
I'm trying to find a way not to stick an R1 right there in the middle of
Well,
it. If there's,
it appears to be a growing issue.
my understanding is the mobile home has been here for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was owned by the same lady, who didn't have issues with the septic line, but now that she's wanting to sell it off, she doesn't want to have to do a septic easement, for her property for the field lines.
all right, the piece of property that's losing that,
Mm-hmm.
right there where your pointer is?
Yes, sir.
That was originally, what, 4 acres? 4.05 acres?
Yes, sir.
Taking away 1 acre will make it 3.05? Will that one have to go to R1 as well?
What is
That
it? What
would
is
be
it now?
item number 5.
Yeah, that's the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, well, I know.
And she would have to she'd have to rezone both parcels to R1. Sorry. in the next rezone would force this. Number 5, if y'all wanna go ahead and look at that, I'll just don't take them one at a time. But number 5 is Tanya Minish again, on behalf of Janice Palmer, requesting to rezone her 4.05 acres from AR to A1 to allow 1 acre to be absorbed in Miss Tanya's property, number 4, to allow for the septic lines.
So both of these properties have the same owner?
My understanding is Miss Tanya is in the process of closing on item number 4. And this is part of her closing, is what I've been led to believe.
There'll be a contingency in the contract of both.
Now,
For a
River,
rezone.
So when it says down here it was purchased from Mrs. Palmer in August the 23rd, that's not finalized.
I don't believe it's been recorded yet.
Okay, so there's no residence on this little sliver triangle then. But she's,
There's a pre-existing mobile home on it.
oh, there is?
Yeah, that's where the
Mhm.
septic lines run to the
And that
mobile
triangle.
home.
Okay, I just looked at Key Public, but it's not, okay.
So I wonder where.
There's
River is
that's
that
it.
yellow line
Mobile home.
going through there.
Yeah, the title's not retired on the mobile home.
Yeah, yeah.
And so part of the mobile home is actually sitting across the line about 5 feet. But when I went out there, I was just trying to judge it from the end I could find at the roadway. So eyeballing it, I'd say about 5 feet of the mobile home is actually over the property line. And then the septic lines are completely on another parcel.
So there's nothing on the little parcel, right?
This one, all I know of is a well.
So even.
And which parcel does the well belong to?
The parent parcel, item number 5.
The
So
four
even,
point five acre.
I don't know if she can even do anything
You
with
mean,
that because
yeah.
they gotta have enough room for septic. Well, it's got a well,
Yeah, if it's existing.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as if you were trying to put one in, you gotta be 100 feet.
yeah, so they probably wouldn't even.
And, if memory recalls correctly, in the conversation, she wanted to attach on the county water coming off of East Commerce Road instead of being on the well that's on the other property.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you, where would she get the water from?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean,
She's wanting to tie into county water, or municipal water, sorry.
it just reminds you from a zoning standpoint, all they're entitled to do is keep what they've got. They're not entitled to rezones to facilitate their personal, private property issues here. Why are you shaking your head?
Yeah, but
No, it's not a cheer, it's just a situation in general.
So bring that to
Yeah,
layman's
well-
terms, what are you saying?
People do all kinds of stupid stuff on their property lines and mess up titles and mess up plats. That does not entitle them to government action to rezone their property to facilitate them trying to fix that. That's their problem. We didn't create the problem.
So what
We didn't put that mobile home on the property line and run those septic lines to it.
so what are our options here?
Deny. Or grant R1s.
But when you say that,
Grant or deny. What else is it?
okay, let's.
well, you said grant or deny or grant R1. I mean, is R1 a dirty word at this point, or what's?
I didn't say that. It's
No,
grant
but-
R1s or deny.
But that's just the way it sounds when we talk about R1s, that's a dirty word. Is it? Or do we look at the situation?
I wasn't here at the last meeting, but the reason, I feel very strongly about the use that's described under an R1, to me, is against our comp plan to plant R1s in agricultural character areas. I know people disagree with that.
I can say, Lee, for and people may know, my memory's not what it used to be, but I don't recall there ever being any entertainment of putting R1s in agricultural areas. That's what A2 was for. If you can get together 2 acres, fine, because that was always, that formerly was.
You mean AR?
AR, what did I say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so, but I don't remember ever trying to accommodate people because they couldn't get 2 acres together. I mean, what are we gonna do for the ones that now can't get 1.5 together? Where does that slope stop?
My point was, I know some people have heartburn over the current policy of being 4 acres, 1 to 2 acres, or 3 acres, or something different. Somebody's gonna come in with something different, acre and a half on the table. But to me, we either have to support the policy as written or change the policy. I mean, that's like voting against a ADU just because I don't like the policy. I mean, I'd like to do that, but I can't. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you're helping me think about it. Saying that slightly differently. The whole point, you changed AR from 2 to 4 to try to have bigger lots on these single parcel splits for family stuff. If you get around that by saying, well, let's just do R1, well, you decreased it instead of increased it. Now you've just gone to 1.5, and we're going to allow, now instead of having to have at least 2, we're going to let you go with as little as 1.5 in the agricultural
area. And it sounds innocent on the surface of what's in 1.5, stuck out here. It sounds innocent. But what are you going to do with the next one, and the next one, and the next one? And before you know it, you're going to have a cluster, and you're going to change the character of the area. I'm trying to preserve what our comp plan says. And the people of this county set up the character areas the way that they are. I'm trying to find a way to preserve that.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with that in the fact that everybody doesn't own 8, 10, 12, 20, 40, 60 acres.
So what do we do?
So we gotta represent everybody.
So what about the
little people, the big
people?
people? We
What
got
about the ones
everybody.
that only have 0.51 acres? So that
Well, can I ask something?
they got a child. They want to give it to you. We got one
I understand, there's gotta be a cutoff somewhere,
somewhere.
but I think that we're trying to make it too big.
Well, but that, again, if you go around the change from 2 acres to 4 acres on AR by just saying, for the first time, we're going to accept R1s in the agricultural areas, you went in the opposite direction. You would have been better off to just stay with the 2 acres. And had you done that,
I agree with
this still wouldn't pass because they don't have 2 acres. That was my point. This would never, in my 23 years, have been on the table, I don't think.
And we've got another one on our agenda where someone wants to join 2 parcels and then cut off 1.5 acres.
Well, let me ask you another question. Why do we even have R1? Why do we even talk about R1s? If R1 is not going to be allowed anywhere, why do we talk about it?
It's for the high density residential.
There's a place for all.
It's all that whole area.
Not to get you all out of this. But, okay, this whole acre, it wasn't 2 parcels before. She wants to.
No, it's 2 parcels.
Okay, it is 2 parcels.
On the tax map, the .51, which I have no
Yeah.
idea how that came into fruition.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's pre-existing.
Right.
The grandfather's dead, but he still left a few streamers out here and there. It's there, and then the property it's taken from is this 4.05
Okay.
property here.
So
So it is 2 parcels of record.
So that one was the A2 and that was the AR?
This is an A1.
No, I mean, before we even get into the line,
Okay.
was that one an A2? I see A2 over there.
A1.
A1, the lines coming off here.
No, next to it.
This one, yes, that's a 6 or 5. I like having Zoom, I apologize not having my glasses.
Okay, there we go.
A 6 acre A2.
Okay, are we dealing with that? That's not hers.
No,
Okay, so where's her,
we're right here.
right there, and she wants to take a sliver and put it over where?
Where it's this yellow parcel.
To adjoin it to the one.
Is it on the back side of that property?
It's on the front side, where,
Yeah, where does she want to join it to?
right here.
Well, let's keep my facial expressions completely.
Okay.
well,
So
I'm
here's
trying to
the line for the
I'm not taking a position.
pizza pie
We
slice.
always had
That's what this line is. And
R,
so they're wanting this for the septic field,
Yeah.
Right.
and
and then a little more on the back side to bring it into compliance without taking away from the road front.
So she's only
Yeah,
gonna
I'm just
have,
saying,
how much, that little
but
sliver
doing,
for her?
splitting 3 acres into 2.
Mobile home
half
and the
in that
septic?
rural area.
The septic is where the blue lines are
Yeah.
right now. That's where
Yeah.
the tomahawk, if you will, the head of the tomahawk is for the septic,
Yeah.
and then to bring the rest in
And see now,
to conformity to make it an R1, that acre and a half,
I say like this one
To
child.
make which one R1?
It wasn't R1.
both of them.
Both,
It was a minimum.
both, both have to come into R1.
We could take them up in one budget.
This one and this one.
Oh, okay.
This one, how'd that work?
Oh, yeah.
This one,
They got
she
cheaper
works
ones
live
to buy,
that
yeah,
property.
but they would, but this
She
person
has
would
this
have
part.
had.
So they're trying to bring this one out of
That don't even look like
the
property.
compliance
Right.
and have a few lines.
So if they had a 2 acre.
I think Bruce has something to add to this.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, this one
Well,
wouldn't
it's
even
kind of
been-
a question.
this one wouldn't even
There's
been
2 things.
paid.
One,
But the
one,
one
this
is
is
a different place. She'd have
the
to
land use
They
is
would've-
just one.
zoning plan.
Yeah, this one would
Yes.
have still been in
Yes.
compliance.
Okay.
Yeah,
But this
if
is,
you did that.
Yes.
this doesn't seem that cultural to me, but now, it's A1 and an AR.
Yes, sir.
Now, she owns both of those, or will.
Miss
Minish?
Miss Minish will own, the pizza pie, what's been highlighted in yellow.
Mhm.
And, then Miss Janice Palmer will still retain ownership
Of the other part.
of the other parcel.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out, so where is that?
No, thank you.
Septic line going to which parcel?
I'm overlooking that point, you're saying.
I know
Miss
where
Tanya,
they-
Miss Tanya Minish,
She only owns this little bit right here.
she owns the one in yellow.
Yeah, and how much is that? Point zero?
Point 51.
Point 5. And this one is 0.5 or 0.05?
4.0,
Oh,
or
4.
4.05.
I'm reading something different. It says 4.05, and then this
Yes.
one over here. And when it adds up, it's 5 something?
It'd be,
If you add.
4.56, if you added these two parcels together. So
Now then, if we deny this, then it just stays the way it is.
yes, sir.
But she owns both parcels.
Miss,
No.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, she may decide she doesn't want to
So she
buy
would
the
only
property.
own the 0.5.
Yeah, septic line run across.
Does it make
The
a difference?
rezone is to facilitate the sale. If there's no rezone, there's no sale.
Okay, she's
okay.
Everyone
selling,
keeps what they got. Let me take this moment I'm speaking to point out, Teresa corrected me, she says, right, so if we did still have the 2 acres, they could have made this work by Tanya Minish buying 1.5 acres or 1.49 acres.
Right.
Which would still have left Janice Palmer with more than 2 acres.
yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at with some of
Yeah.
these,
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
the 2 acres will work, because I know that,
We don't have option to consider that right now.
no, we don't, which,
It'll work in this case, but if we were to deal with one that's slightly smaller, then
Yeah, but she owned this way before we even changed any of our ordinance.
Tanya Minish did.
No, Tanya, but the lady that needs the septic line, right?
that is Miss Tanya.
Oh.
That is the septic line.
But she
Okay,
didn't
well,
own
she
it.
falls under
I mean,
the
she
4
did.
acre.
She hadn't owned it for years. It's been
No.
like that for years.
Which is she fell under the 2 acre requirement, it will be okay.
So who owned the property?
Miss, Janice Palmer.
Okay, so she needs to give her that because of septic line. And how did she put when they went out there survey, they didn't know that they were putting that on the line?
Well, that's way long time
Yeah,
ago.
that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
And we can't go back and undo
No,
that.
I know, that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people,
I noticed on the application, it says, let's see, which one was it? To include septic lines and the well for existing homes, so it includes the well, but you had it in there growing, the well wasn't included.
And they'd have to go through a water easement that they were informed about, I think after Miss Tracy had to sit down with them, and that's when she said to me in the office.
City water.
Yeah, she could just hook the city water rather than having to have a water easement through it. And if we did nothing, like you, correct me if I'm wrong, you could have a septic easement.
Yeah, I mean, there is such a thing, sure.
I just.
Yeah, I mean, you can have an easement for any purpose that
Yeah.
you need to use land for.
Or she hooks up to the county water, she won't even need all this, right?
She wouldn't need the well.
She would need a well, but she would need the septic.
Still need that.
Yeah, she still needs.
But if she's buying it, it may be contingent on that the septic system be on the parcel itself, without an easement, because it may not.
Technically, that parcel wouldn't meet, Georgia law for having a septic system, or would it meet setbacks?
So what do we do when people, you tell them, well, you can't have a septic, but we're not gonna give you a R1?
If they can't get a septic letter on
Yeah.
a field permit, see, this is all pre-existing, so there's things between the buyer and the seller. Well, you can correct me if I speak wrong on any of this, but they could agree at a closing table about, but you have to have for just standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. 25,600
Yeah,
square
and
feet of
she's
field line
representing
and for
Janet.
repair.
Janet still owns the full point of
It's
her
more than
side.
half acre.
Okay, Janice Palmer owns them.
Yes.
And
So-
Janice-
So even
Yeah.
if we decided she wouldn't have room to put
It
a
just
septic
hasn't been
system or a repair
updated. She's
field
just
in.
bought.
But she already has one, she don't have to put
But it
it.
goes across the property.
Look here.
That's why
I
she's
know,
asking.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that's why
So we're
she
gonna
has.
do Janice Palmer.
She didn't have enough to hold, so what does she do?
Like
Get out
this
of-
one, Janice Palmer.
The Palmer owns, I think, all of it.
Property.
So she doesn't.
Wait, is this Miss
Buyer.
Powell?
I know.
And several other things
Or the Powell.
about the complex toilet or an electric
Well, we got
toilet.
Palmer
so
right
very
here.
Within
expensive
the college
houses.
town, because this,
But
I mean, where
Don't
does
say
she
it
live?
looks pretty.
So, diminish just by
Almost every
the.
corner.
Okay, that's.
Whenever they sold that
I
property,
think the Palmer.
they created the problem.
Yeah, it's the same.
They sold it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I guess my issue with this is that if we deny, what have we done? What have we helped? What have we?
Oh, it is now.
Yeah, it is that.
Well.
If we approve it, then we helped our citizens
I don't know.
in a way. But, I mean, it's gonna change the character, it's just gonna change the character of that area.
Well, I know way before you guys got here, we were doing this. We were
Go ahead.
R1s in there.
Man, I'm confused on this one. Where does Miss Palmer live? Is she on this land?
no, there's no home on this property.
Okay,
She
just
owns
the
land.
trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer belongs to Miss Minish,
I can't say what it
and it's on her land?
is.
It's on
Trailer's been there,
Now building on
she-
both tracks.
She lives there. Currently though,
Yeah.
or, and she's trying to purchase it, but she already lives there.
Yes.
Okay.
She's presently a renter. So
Now, there's
she owns
on
none
that
of
1.5
this.
acres.
Oh, is there? Oh, yeah, there is.
There's a nice, pretty picture of it on Key Public.
So she
There's
wants
nothing in
to.
there.
There is a house on, yeah,
Nothing in the notes.
the rezone says that there's a house and a building on each one of the tracks. Because I thought it was in the script.
Why don't we have that?
Just trying to figure out, what does Miss Minish own any parcel there at this point?
It's in
No.
that she's buying, so
She's
then
buying.
it's a contingency that she has, which I would not buy the
Okay,
property
but
either. since I didn't have
the
it.
trailer's not on the
that she already owns.
No,
She
it was
owns
the
the house.
septic.
But the septic tank is
0.5
goes
acres.
on
She's
the
already
Bought
closed
it.
on
She
it.
had.
But apparently she just bought it, land Reese and I raised it together, so it's not showing up.
I think
Still
Miss,
showing Palmer on Key Public.
Ms. Palmer owns all of
Because
it.
they wouldn't, I mean, they
Oh,
gonna do
here we
it.
go.
She's trying to
Mr.
sell.
Palmer in August of 23.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so can y'all give us an update on when you
Yeah,
found
Tanya
it?
Minish bought half acre triangle, month and a half ago.
It's done.
It's done.
That's
It's hard.
according to Tanya,
Damn.
Teresa's note.
So, guessing not being 100% in the conversation when Tracy was having it, now that Tanya has bought that, I guess they didn't do the homework, which surprises me because Tanya's real quick. But, so now she's trying to get the field lines off of Ms. Palmer's 4.05, so it will be on with the .51.
Oh.
So what she's trying, probably, so what she's trying to do is get everything on one tract of land, so that it's not, okay, well, my field line's broke, well, it's on your property, so now you have to fix it, but it's mine, but now I don't have to set it because you won't fix it.
So a month and a half ago, Janice Palmer had both of those, and she could have fixed that problem by not selling the sliver and keeping it and combining it, and we'd have 4 acre minimum, and she could have fixed her lines, and all that would have been fine.
But they couldn't have 2 homes on one property.
Right.
Didn't need to be 2 homes on that property. But now, Ms. Palmer's made some money, and Ms. Minish wants to make some money, because she's gonna get y'all to do this more. Let's go ahead.
So, so, I'm just confused.
Yeah.
Ms. Palmer, Ms. Minish bought the 4 point something.
No.
Oh, she bought the half acre.
Okay, she bought the half.
.51.
Okay, and she
wants to buy a 1 acre, whatever, I'm not even sure what it is, to be honest now. She wants to buy that 1 acre to combine with the .51.
Oh, okay,
Because she wants the septic lines on the same property as that mobile home.
yeah, then she'll have the 2 acres, but the other one will be 3.
Right.
But what if she's not gonna sell it or do anything to that 3 acres, it's not gonna be a problem?
Well, yes, it will be, because it belongs to somebody else.
Well,
Because
that's what I'm saying, the lady.
the septic line goes over into the other person's property.
That's what we call it.
Okay?
Yeah.
But I think
If it breaks,
I think it's a cute public.
who's fixing it?
Oh, no, we already know that.
One
We said
time,
if she gets that,
Okay.
if she's able to
How about that?
go through and get the R1.
She got married.
And she has 2 acres.
Good for her. I would not do it again.
Well, she gotta hold off.
Well, anyway.
Just a few more weeks.
We'll be here all night discussing this, so,
Illustration, though.
let's think about it. We'll have a chance to ask questions at the public hearing.
She changed her. It was really different.
We got 2 weeks, and we'll have to make a decision, one way or the other. Either approve it or deny it.
Yeah, I want to hear your philosophical point before we move on.
Yeah.
Can we
Let's
hear,
move on.
can we hear from the attorney real quick before we
Sure,
move to the
you know,
next
just
one?
from a land planning standpoint, we get hung up on this, you know, the point that Mr. Scott's made numerous times, and, you know, is there some level at which we need to let people split off property? Assuming that this is some sort of family or financial duress situation, and it's not relevant legally, and it shouldn't be relevant from a planning standpoint, because a lot's a lot, it can be sold to anybody. But this just illustrates that you look at this and you make that assumption, and as we're talking here, we just figured out that's not the case here. There is nobody's under duress. These aren't family members. This is somebody buying and flipping for profit. Now, from a land planning standpoint, that doesn't matter. But the philosophical point I wanted to make is, if you open it up for one, you open it up for the other.
I think you're absolutely correct, except for the fact that down the road, it could be totally different. It could be, just as, say this, for the septic tank, the line is broke for some reason. Who fixes it? If that person that owns that other piece of property says, no, you got a person living in a house here that doesn't have access to a septic line.
Yes, but it's not our problem.
I understand it's not our problem.
And I get not, trust me, I'm
There's a whole lot of things that's not our
all
problem.
kinds of things, but
These are human beings, folks.
They
We're
are.
not talking about.
On their property, and it wasn't.
where I struggle is that I don't,
Being
Property too.
Well, I mean,
I don't read all
I
that.
don't see the problem.
How do we know that she's gonna resell it for profit?
Yeah, we don't know that.
That's something that we can't assume that she's gonna resell it for profit. That's something that we can't assume, we don't know.
But we shouldn't assume anyway, because it really has nothing to do with
Exactly. That's my point.
our decision. Where I struggle is, I don't want to approve R1s according to our comp plan. I don't. But I also look at what we keep hearing is land usage. Will it change the land usage if we approve this one? To me, it doesn't.
Well,
So
no,
where,
planning is
I'm
not,
struggling with,
well, the whole point, planning and zoning is not to freeze what you've got. It's to shape the future. Some things will shape towards more density, some things will shape towards less density. You've got a comp plan that says, just rough and guessing, about 80% of your land mass in Madison County, you want to shift towards less density, which means you're going to have to really put a lot of density in the other areas.
But if you look there, I see RRs, rural residential.
Oh, I got,
ARs are fine in that area, that's
I
agricultural.
know, I said.
so I think what it comes
we got
down
rid
to
of
is we
RRs.
may have to have another discussion about AR. I
Well,
think
yeah.
that's where, like, I just think that's where it's heading.
way I look at this, we put all this land use in agriculture. But how many young farmers we come up that's actually gonna be a farmer using as agriculture? We looking, people coming out, they ain't looking back because they looking for land to build homes on. That's, I know I think we use this, the farmers, it runs big farms, wanted to have it more agriculture so it could be, the land use map is agriculture. But we don't have that many young farmers. It's coming up in our generation now. They don't care nothing about farming. They don't want to work hard.
They can't afford to get into it.
They can't afford to get into farming. So we look at it that if we keep this like this as A2s and A1s, people can't afford to go out and buy something other than nowadays where land is and build a home with having to buy 4 acres, then build a home. It's going to cost you $300,000 and $400,000. And we consider agriculture. People's not going into agriculture like it used to be.
We're not asking everyone to become farmers. We created AR as this bridge and a way to allow residential and agricultural areas.
That may be something we have to look at.
That's why we created it.
But you said future.
Well,
I know you said.
and you're relitigating and you may well be right, Mr. Bailey, but we're relitigating the comp plan now.
Yeah.
I mean, the comp plan says that the rural conservation character area is chiefly composed of environmentally sensitive land and active agricultural production. Individual farms tend to be large, with homes sparsely distributed on large existing tracts.
Which is.
That's where I struggle, because I think the numbers that came in is that 55% of agricultural zone properties in this county are less than 20 acres.
Right. So this
So
may not
that-
even be a true statement.
But that-
Yeah.
But
So
that's
I,
also very misleading, because when zoning came in, you could pick your own zoning. So that, you know, what I mean as far as things is, I mean, we just look at this right here, look at the numbers that are legally non-conforming.
Yeah.
I mean, so that doesn't hold water as far as looking at it as a static
yeah.
at this point, because you're
But looking at what he said, looking at farming in the future, they're using more technology and everything. I know you need a lot of land for cattle and other stuff, but farming is changing too. Where, like they said, this generation doesn't want to work as hard as our generation did. So they're finding easier ways to farm if they are going to be on a farm. And it doesn't take that much acreage.
Well, I know I'm in the minority, but there are more non-ag people that live in this county than ag people that live in this county. And we've got to represent all of them.
And I know when I went to those meetings, there was a lot of people that were not for that farm, agricultural, the whole county.
That's something we may have to look at, is reducing from 4 acres to 2 acres, that way we keep it in agriculture.
We had better control when we had 2 acres
The
than we
whole
do.
thing, that's the reason it's active. This is the first time that we really are utilizing, or hope to utilize the comp plan. If you look back and talk to people who have lived here, and I have not lived here that long, I've only lived here 20 years, but it's kind of been just a rubber stamp, and it really hasn't been utilized as something that is active and ongoing. There's no doubt that it needs to be, I mean, I think, is it 5 years that the comp plan has every 5 years? There's no doubt that it's going to look totally different in 5 years. That's part of the issue, possibly, in my opinion, is what we haven't done is kept up with where we're at currently. And this first step is creating some rubs. There's no doubt about it, but that's where positive things happen, is when we come together and address these type things.
See, I've lived in this county all my life, and I've seen farms after farms after farms just sit and waste away because people don't want to farm anymore. And I've seen a lot of people that rents out their farms now to other farmers.
Sure. I think it's a hard conversation.
It's going to be
that was
hard.
supposed to be had during the comp plan, and apparently it wasn't. I was reading some of the book you let me borrow today, where he's talking about how in areas like this, counties like this, so development is often considered by farmers to be their last crop, and that may be what drives development eventually, when the farmers are ready to harvest their last crop, and suddenly the people who want 50-acre minimums won't want them anymore.
The key thing to draw away is the farmer's only a farmer until he becomes a developer.
Well, I think the thing that will help this is to revisit the conversation of the 4 and the 2 acres. That ain't gonna solve it. But it will make it a whole lot simpler.
But there are other ways to, and I've said this before, other than just large lot minimums. The fear is having, if you just allow small, be it 1.5 or 2, that you'll end up with heavily developed subdivisions in your rural areas. So one way to do that is just to legislate large lots. But Oconee County, for example, we're tied here to say that, they don't do it that way. They allow pretty small lots throughout the county, but they don't have problems with subdivision development in most of the county because they have they have created heavy sewer and water infrastructure, road infrastructure, all the infrastructure you need to give developers very small lot sizes in the part of the county that's closest to Athens. That's where they want. They don't want food with our ale on farm. They want to develop on the smallest lots they can.
Yeah, I've been looking at Oconee. They have a very good plan.
Yeah, but it takes money and time to get there.
It does. We're a little behind here.
Okay.
I think they started in the 60s.
Sure.
And we started
We're
in the
starting
90s.
yesterday.
There's 30 years difference.
Yes. I agree.
If y'all will allow me, I don't think we're gonna solve this.
We're not gonna solve it tonight.
But I
Let's move on.
From my point, I appreciate the conversation. It gives me feedback other than just the DOC to have more heads feed me in.
Well, it's our job, I think, to have discussions, and I feel good about whether we agree or not. Just having this discussion is what we're supposed to do. So.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, you're fine.
Mr. Chairman, I know we
Go ahead.
we want to move on, but I got to get clear on this.
All right.
All right. Ms. Minish now owns that point,
Triangle.
the triangle, 0.51 acres,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
She owns nothing else in this thing. The tomahawk kind of shape that we saw, that's what she would like to buy from Mrs. Powell to make that.
Correct.
Okay. And now can she buy the land that from Mrs. Powell?
There's a house on it that's not shown on here.
Yeah, I mean, but can she buy the land, that tomahawk
She
size.
can only purchase that if the rezone is approved to go to R1.
So she can't, so Ms. Powell cannot sell any more for land now.
Unless it's rezoned.
Not unless it's
to R1.
rezoned.
So, and this
She's
Minnish
full of-
will never be able to fix her sewer
Correct,
problem.
unless it's.
Right.
But he
Unless
uses one of
both
the
go
two
to R1,
alternatives.
I mean R1,
Both go to R1. Oh,
because she doesn't have enough
yeah.
minimum acreage to be anything, if she gives any more land to do.
Once she sells that,
Yeah.
then her property becomes
All
R1.
right, thank you, Ms.
Or
Chairman.
has to become R1.
I won't delay it any more. I got it.
Make sure you don't miss it, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, not gonna do it for an old trailer.
Okay, Chris.
Yes,
Come
sir.
on, sir, please.
Yes, sir. Item number 6, Braxton Legg is requesting to rezone a 5-acre portion of his 118.44 acres from A1 to AR to allow it to be split off and sold to a family member for a home site. He would continue to own the 113.44 acres, and it will stay in A1. The property is located at 4450 Peoria Road in Carlton. That's on map 0104, parcel 025-01, and this would be in District 4.
I think that was near as complicated.
Truth be known. Okay. And I'll get down to that. Here's the property in question. Right here, we, just for the group as foreknowledge, this is an area that is being developed into some high-density poultry houses in this Carlton area, in the rural area. Just a heads up for everybody as far as permitting goes. Here's the home parcel. Everything around it is primarily A1s and A2s. We do have a strip here on the road directly across from the property that is showing all of our Rs, ARs, and R1s in this area.
No problem with road frontage or anything of that sort?
No, sir, nothing at all.
Okay.
And here's the 5 acres they're wishing to cut off. Let me zoom back out for y'all. So they're just wanting to cut off the tip, and the angle would allow for sufficient road frontage, sir.
Questions on this one?
And there's no other structure on the 118 acres. Other than,
Flip one more page. Not at this time.
On 118 acres.
Yes, ma'am, on the 118.
There's
Is there a
home-
trailer?
There's a house, or a home, 6 poultry house, and then a back house.
that's a structure too.
That's not going to be updated. You can't defend them to public.
That's it.
I'm just gonna say it,
When
some
did
of
they
these
pull the
surveys
permits?
they put out, they don't have everything on, and it's awful.
But that's far enough away from that 5 acres that it don't matter.
I'm trying to.
Probably because it's not updated. I do think that they're
Oh, shoot,
pretty
yeah.
fairly new.
Yeah.
They're
No,
fairly
they're-
new houses, aren't
There'd be
they?
like 1,000 feet
I
between
think
the
they're
poultry
fairly
houses
new.
and the parcel itself.
So it's probably just not updated.
So there's chicken houses in this parcel that don't show up on the aerial photo?
Well, aerial photos, I mean, it's actually on Q, I mean, if you look at the report on Q,
Yeah.
it's showing
It's not in the picture.
2,310 square foot house, heated square foot house, all the permits, poultry house, broiler enclosed, electric house and building, so. Yeah, I mean, aerial, when's the last time we did aerials? Forever?
No, we use satellite imaging now. I can get it every 6 months if I pay for it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Funny thing I mentioned, it's not even shown on their site.
Well, it's 2019 area, so
That's basically right.
that's baloney.
Any more
I think
questions
the
on this?
houses are pretty new.
Yeah.
They've
They've been built within like the last 3 years or so.
I wanna say it's been sooner than that.
Because they, if I'm not mistaken, this is one that went through an area variance. Isn't that the land that the lake went through? Because they couldn't meet the back setback.
And that wasn't that long ago.
They're now for,
That one's further down, that's a different branch, Caleb.
Yeah, residence was built in 2022.
The slaughter
Yeah.
facility, is that the one you're talking about?
Hold your houses.
Yeah, right there outside of
They would
Cumberland.
be on 19 photos.
no, down there near the, no, I'm in the wrong area. I'm in the wrong area. I'm down around, I'm in the wrong area.
Yes, all of it. That was for his father.
Okay,
That was for his house. Traps.
yeah,
That's why you never trust.
okay. That's why I remember the name there.
Yes, sir. And then another one of the sons did the slaughterhouse over here outside of Comer a few months ago.
Okay. All right, any additional question, anything on this one? All right, let's move on.
Yes, sir. Item number 7, Josie and Linda,
Jose.
sorry, Jose, and Linda, I knew I was gonna mess it up, and Linda Soto are requesting to rezone their 14.35 acres from A1 to A2 to allow an additional home to be built on the property for their son as an accessory dwelling unit and to bring the property into compliance with zoning regulations. This property is located on 400 Rock Quarry Drive in Danielsville, map 0052, parcel 119C in District 4. The reason for this rezone, under the A1, they'd have to have 25 acres to fit the additional house on, but in A2, they could do the additional house with 10 or more.
Correct.
It's mentioned in the notes that this applicant wanted to divide this, but can't due to exceeding private drive requirements. What does that explain? I'm showing all of these parcels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parcels are on this private drive.
Yes, and this is one that we have been speaking about with the new driveway ordinance. Kind of, yeah. It goes with zoning, but it's not in the zoning regulations. The parcels on it coming off the rock quarry, not all of them have homes. But if they were to split the property and add a home to it, they would have to bring it up to the road standards. The new road ordinance that was passed, they would actually have to pave from that driveway all the way up to, I forget the name of that.
Rock Quarry Road.
Rock Quarry Road. Thank you. I wanted to say it, but I was like, no, that sounds too right.
So it's not that we're splitting. So it's not that splitting this tips them over into a number of lots that's going to require this and create something new. It's what's going to have to make the road.
Yes. And an ADU is subordinate to the primary structure of the property.
That's Rock Quarry Drive.
But they did come in and speak, they originally
drive
talked
is
about,
the private road.
Yes.
splitting the property
Yes.
3 different ways, for 2 separate children. But then they found out the new driveway ordinance, and they were gonna, the cost would be on them to bring the road up. And anybody that drove this, I apologize for no gravel on that road. When I went down it, I had to come back up the hill in 4-wheel drive. So nobody got stuck when they went back there on this.
Ownership.
But the way,
Question.
yes, sir.
Okay,
4 homes on it.
this rezone request,
So they want to come down
the decision had to be, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this. The new driveway requirement,
Yes, sir.
does it have anything to do with our decision as far as whether this is approved or disapproved?
Doesn't have anything to do with the rezone for the land use. It has a lot to do with, if they were to pull permits and whether or not that would benefit them prior to pulling the permits and finding out, okay, now I've got to pave, I think it was a little over a mile of road. So we try to get ahead of that game.
Okay, but it's the ifs.
Yes.
It's the ifs. But if this is approved or disapproved, then the ifs are on there.
Yes, correct.
All right, just to kind of
You catch that?
clear my mind.
All right, I agree, yeah, okay. That's why I just make sure I'm legal now. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, any further questions? Great.
Item number 8 is Chris Smith, applicant for his mother, Sarah F. Smith. They are requesting to rezone two 3-acre tracts from A2 to AR to create one 5.8-acre tract with an existing cell phone tower from A2 to business to split for inheritance purposes for her children. This property is located off of Highway 72. It does not have an address due to the lack of a home. But 72 East in Comer, it's on map 0106, parcel 066, in District 4. This is the gentleman that came in, and we had him withdrawn due to the number of splits. We've been trying to work with him to allow for those property splits for inheritance purposes to be there and still meet the setbacks for the cell phone tower. Let me bring up the site map, sorry.
So the cell phone tower is okay in the business zone? So I thought originally we said it had to be industrial.
We had a incorrect quick list chart, but in the meat, in the verbiage, it is allowed. And the reason we spoke with the gentleman, and we're thinking industrial, and looking also at business, dropping for any purposes, an industrial section over here in the Carlton, that very rural area. They may have had somebody come in and offer money down the road for that 3 acres and want to fit in a true industrial plant or usage. Business is more limited. And so that was the conversation we had. But I'll pull it back up. So this is the parcel as it sits right now, as in A2. And the cell phone tower is right here where the mouse is. Mm-hmm. And it's what caused all those hiccups when it came back before us a few months ago. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to bring it down. So here's the site plan, and they did apply before the 4-acre change when it was the maximum of 3.992 to 3.99. Sorry, fly. And that's the reason for the 3 acres that you see over here on the side. The 3-acre in the middle will share an easement with the already existing drive coming off of 72 East and split off. I've been told, I don't know timeline or plans, but for whoever inherits that one, for a home site to be built there, for the parcel for the stuff on the paper. My understanding is they were planning on trying to do an easement through the upper parcel and split to be able to access it.
I do believe there's already access there. I remember going and looking at this one on the far right to the back.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there is an access, but they don't have it recorded as an easement. Oops, sorry.
Since the 3 acres are going to go along with the individuals that own the frontage, are they not interested in joining these?
Not at this point in time, no, sir. My understanding is I'm just going to stand up behind that. The children or the child from these 2 homes are intending to build, but behind their parents. And the reason for that funny jagged point that kind of comes out is to meet our setbacks for the tower.
For the tower.
Yes, sir.
So if they're gonna build properties back on the new 3 acres, they still wouldn't wanna join the properties if they're gonna do that?
That would be their parents. And up front, and these are less than an acre each. So if they did combine, they still wouldn't have enough acreage to do the ADU.
The only one that would need an easement is the one on the right.
Yes, sir. This gentleman was very adamant about not hiring a surveyor until he knew he would get approved, or he put that money out. That's the reason we're working with this.
So are you saying for this parcel, there is already an easement, or there will have to be one created?
There'll have to be one created.
On this property or across this piece of property? Where would the easement be?
The easement would come from, stand up again, from Highway 72. The easement would come up along this side of the property to give access to it. And Mike, you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we have to list that as a condition if it was to be rezoned. But
So each of those 3 acre plots is they're requesting for those to be rezoned AR?
yes, sir.
How about the easement being a condition?
Yes, sir.
No, I mean, I think that'd be at the plat approval stage, wouldn't it?
Well, either or, it just helps me make sure so that it doesn't throw a monkey wrench in if they know up front.
Yeah.
I mean, I could hold it up on my end, definitely, but
Right.
Yeah.
if we make a condition, it would help.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the only reason why I say that.
No, I mean, we can use them where they're helpful.
Okay, please. This would be a helpful condition, for staff in the
So,
office.
yeah, I guess I was just saying it's not legally required condition.
Correct. The back corner of the 5.8, if you go and look at it or anything, it is a gully. And it runs back to a pond. There's no way to really do anything else on this property without monumental dirt being pulled in, to do anything. So this would be the one we're looking to turn into business.
The 5.8 will remain business on.
Yeah, well, we
have to
redone
be.
it. We redone it to business, yes, sir. Currently, under the A2, they have enough acreage to have the cell phone tower. It's already been sitting there for some years, and the rezone or the splitting of the property would cause an issue with the A2 zone.
So would it be smart if we need to put conditions on that 5.8 with the cell phone tower? Because, well, they haven't had a survey, so they could really move that line wherever they wanted, right?
Well, that would come in at the survey time, plat approval
okay.
time, yeah. And it's an oddity, I think, compared to most counties around us, probably more so over the years, that we don't require surveys before the rezone. But, so be it.
I've made mention of that before. I'm just wondering if it's gonna be business. I mean, basically they could come in and put whatever business they wanted on that, right? Unless they put a
Can a cell phone tower there and do whatever they want.
But they couldn't build anything within the cell phone setback,
Yeah.
which would put them
Can't put anything in there.
in the gully.
Oh, it will, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think also part of the thinking is this is right on the edge of the Comer, of the character area for,
Yeah, call to the corner.
Yeah, it's right over there by the, plant, isn't it?
yeah, they're close to where we want business anyway, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
If you look on the comp plan, there's a little rectangle, and they're right there on the fringe of the rectangle, where we talked about it not being a straight line. We may have to move it. This would be one of those that's sitting right on there.
Any further discussion on this one? All right, Chris.
Yes, sir. James Kirby, applicant number 9, is applicant for his son, Stephen Stallman. He's requesting to rezone a 4-acre portion of his 70.47 acres from A2 to AR to allow it to be split off for a future home site, and the remaining 66.47 acres will stay in the A2 zone. The property is located at 0 Jotham Down Road in Danielsville. That's on map 0009, parcel 031 in District 1. Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. This is my plat that I'm assuming. This is on the far end of Jotham Down.
I consider it,
Over there, 98.
yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. It's closer to the Mount Zidon Road than it is to 98.
Road frontage is good.
Yes, sir. It is, I'm trying to get it out there. Here would be the 4-acre section. It's kind of exaggerated on this 77-acre portion, but they're just wanting to run a sleeve up the road.
Is it, gonna go across the road? It's just gonna come up to the road? Is the boundary line then back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I know they had, some of that goes across the road there.
Yes, sir. No, the 4-acre portion is to be all on one side of the road and not use the road that's crossing.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Matthew Payne is applicant number 10 and is requesting to rezone his 10.72 acres from A2 to AR to allow a 4-acre split for a home site for his mother-in-law. The property is located at 289 Furnace Creek Road in Danielsville on map 0038, parcel 014 in District 1.
Pretty straightforward.
So here we have Furnace Creek off of Danielsville Street, going to an AR. They're fully acknowledging that they're going to build right next to some massive poultry operations.
Questions, comments? Hearing none.
Yes, sir. Oh, all right, I'm going to show y'all the split. As well, sorry. Number 11 is Timothy and Shara Lentz. They're requesting to rezone a 5-acre portion of their 38.85 acres from A1 to AR to allow it to be split off and gifted to their son for a home site, and the remaining 33.85 acres will stay in the A1 zone. The property is located at 2291 Manley Martin Road in Danielsville, Georgia. This is located on map 0062, parcel 080 in District 4.
Manley Martin Road, is that a dirt road?
Those are paved roads. 2-lane paved road. I think there's one portion that turns to dirt.
I'm just looking at the tax map, I see this, it turns into a dotted line down below this property that's indicated dirt.
Right there at Dickerson, there's the triangle, and that's where it splits, and it's dirt coming back around. The portion concerning the property in question is paved, though. Just the lower half that comes back in.
Right, that's what I'm looking at.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Kenneth, you're in charge.
Okay, we're gonna, give that to me,
You got 4 minutes.
yeah.
Bear with me. Okay, go ahead.
You got the portion that they're splitting out, that you can see surveyed out right here. Let me go back up to the bigger map, is right here in this upper left-hand portion. Right here. It's kind of hard to see on their survey of the property. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it would be in that upper corner.
Anything else? Before we get to those questions. These two here is the ones you said.
We'll probably have to talk about it together. Would y'all like to take a 5-minute potty break to accommodate him, or do y'all feel comfortable moving forward? I'm just throwing that out there.
That's up to the board. Go with it.
Yes, sir. If it's acceptable, we'll talk about 12 and 13 together, since they probably have to be taken up in one motion. There is a little misunderstanding in the verbiage that we're trying to work on right now. And items 12 and 13, which is, David and Tracy Dove, these two may be postponed unless we can get to the paper tomorrow morning first thing. And I'm going to go off of what they told me last week instead of off of the direct verbiage. If I can get to the picture. So, in short, the Doves own this property here, and this is where their home is and their barn. Mr. Dove has bought this pecan orchard right here with the pond, and a home on the property. He wants to rezone to connect the two for tax purposes. And at a later point in time, cut off and rezone this brick house right here off of Wildcat Ridge Road or 281. But his main purpose at this point in time isn't the cutoff that you see in number 13 for an R1. He just wants both properties to be A2 to be able to combine for tax purposes. Then come back at a later point in time and cut off the brick on that front.
And try to make it an R1.
An R1 or an AR, depending on how the discussion goes.
But we don't have to worry about that right now. It's going to be just A2.
Just A2. However, since it's already went to the newspaper, and if we can't stop it before it runs, it doesn't convey his wishes through the text, and we'd have to re-advertise appropriately and back him up a month. Sorry. Yes, sir.
So if you say combine the two properties and then cut off the 1.5 acres later, is that what you're saying?
Or 2, if AR is acceptable in the future at a 2 acre.
Well, I guess my question is, if he joins the two properties, then he's gonna have 2 homes on one parcel.
Correct.
And one of them will be an ADU?
Or it'd be considered a pre-existing home.
Well, it has to be an ADU.
Yeah, then,
Well, is it smaller or bigger than?
oh, it is much smaller than his home. Yes, sir. His home is a large 2-story with enclosed garage attached. The brick home is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-story. In all honesty, it might be able to fit in his living room.
So are we gonna is this gonna be handled all at one time or in 2 sections? Like, are we gonna, does he wanna join the 2 large parcels first, then consider the rezone for the R1?
Yes, sir. And he, not from our office, but from other people, he has heard that there's conversation about possibly changing AR. He would like to keep it all ag, if at all possible, and he's wanting to wait to see where that conversation goes. He's not in a push for the R1 and the split. I think he's more worried about if the economy tanked or anything. He is a small business owner in the county. He wouldn't want to lose all of his property. He'd like to be able to sell the house to keep himself above
So
water.
there's no problem joining the 2 properties?
He wants that flat out. I went and had a conversation with him. He had a lot of concerns and everything. Invited me to the property. He wanted to show me where all the property lines were, talk about his wishes and what he wanted. Full disclosure, he is my third cousin once removed, I believe. We'll just say third cousin, for now.
So at this point, R1 is a non-issue.
Is not an issue, but if we don't advertise it correctly, we
Right.
can't take it up.
So in other words, where it's written here that, we was going to rezone A2, then go ahead and rezone R1 together at the same time, right?
Yes, and that's
So
what we have to take the R1 out for it. But if we went ahead with number 2, it would automatically cause number 13 to have to be approved. So, but we're trying our best to get it caught up to where we can move a pace with it. I just want everybody to be fully aware of what's going on. He does want it to stay, the pecan orchard, and he talked about purchasing Highland cows after talking to him to graze underneath there to keep all the trash from coming up. So, it'll be the first time I ever saw a pecan orchard with Scottish cows. But stranger things. But that is item 12 and 13. 14.
Sounds good. 14.
Yes, sir. Item 14 is Timothy and Kelly Eaton. They are requesting to rezone their 42.44 acres from A1 to A2 to allow the property to be split into 3 tracts, 13.47 acre tract, an 11.73 acre tract, and a 17.37 acre tract, to sell 2 tracts and to retain one of them to build a home on. Their property is located at 1191 Adderhold Rogers Road in Commerce, Georgia, on map 0012, parcel 070 in District 1.
And they're gonna have enough road frontage on the 17 acres?
9 and 5, is that what it's gonna be?
Sorry, trying to catch up. Here we go. The way that I see it at this point in time, they only have roughly 95 foot of frontage on one parcel, 490 foot on another, and 466 on another.
So on 17 acres, they ain't won't have enough road frontage with it.
No, they're gonna have to adjust some lines, and adjusting the lines would change the acreage with it, so.
Mm-hmm. How'd they come up with these acreages?
Using Google Earth, just by looking at this picture is what I'm judging at. They dropped the 4 points, and then.
Your Honor, motion for Gary Harvin to shoot somebody.
But, that's.
I mean, can we take up a vote to require a survey? First of all, I guess my biggest question is and I'm not pointing to anybody or blaming anybody, but why are a lot of these things not being caught in the office? I guess is my biggest thing. Like, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I questioned that when I started here in January of '01, and I was told that it's not fair to make people pay for a survey before they know if they're gonna get their rezone.
Well, if you go to any other county in this state with a well-running P&Z, they require one.
This was
I wasn't
'01.
defending it, just telling you what.
I know.
Did you say that was '01?
Yes, sir.
It's been a long time since '01. A whole lot of things have changed. So it may be time to change that particular policy. And we are a recommending voter, folks. If that's something that we want to recommend, whether they accept it or not, that may be something that we want to consider as a recommendation to our board. So that's something we need to think about, and we talk about it in our November business meeting. Yes, sir.
So, if we're gonna be talking about recommendations also, is the Board of Commissioners, I kind of listened to them last night and couldn't discern too much about what the prognosis for this is. Are they gonna revisit the 2-acre, 4-acre AR? I mean, if we don't, the quicker we do that, if we're gonna do it, the better, because there's already gonna be some people saying, but you told me I had to have 4, and now you're saying, you can do it with 2. It's just, wow.
I can only tell you what I've been told, in talking to the chairman. He said that was gonna be his recommendation to the board, that they send it back to us for consideration. And that was, I left last night, but that was supposed to happen last night. Whether it did or not, I don't know. It didn't happen last night.
No.
I was told it was, so that's all I can tell you. That the chairman is determined that he's going to bring it back.
Well, okay, but then I will sit and be quiet.
If we make recommendations on processes and do we need to take a vote if we wanna, or require it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no process for that.
So we don't have to advertise or anything like that?
No, I mean, you're not, it's not a rezone, so,
You could talk to it, sorry.
No,
We can talk about it, at the end of business such as urgent matters, if y'all did want to have a conversation on it, and to continue the conversation in the next month and have it on the agenda. That's totally fine. I would just need a vote that y'all want it on the agenda. So I can put it on there. I can only put things on the agenda that either y'all vote on or would like to be put on the agenda, like
Like the dog kennel.
in the dog kennel.
Yeah.
Or if the BOC mandates me to put something on the agenda. So that is a possibility after we finish, the Eaton parcel.
Well, I would say that you put it on the agenda for discussion on, requiring survey prior to.
yeah, I mean, that could be something y'all could go ahead and take a vote on, because it's not gonna be part of the amending process. That's just gonna be your recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
Correct.
If they take you up on it, then we'll do the advertising, and you'll hold a hearing, and they'll hold a hearing,
So,
So finish,
what's your
do you
pleasure?
wanna finish this one before we discuss
Yeah.
it any
The
further?
rezon, you wanna wait till after, I don't know, parliamentary procedure as far as this goes.
Well, yeah. Finish what we're doing.
Yeah. Let's finish
So
what
on
we're
this one, do they have options to move the line? I can't do the math in my head.
They can move that 11, take some of the 11.
Well, on this one, I would suggest that the staff go back and say, we have found something here. Hey, this is what the problem is. You need to go back to correct this before we can consider it.
If they hadn't already done the survey, when they do the survey, would the surveyor know that they gotta have 150 foot?
Unless they're familiar with our county.
I know Gary
Well,
does.
So here's my problem with not having a survey is because a lot of people, especially in these old counties, think they know where their property lines are, and they think they have whatever acreage, and then when they get a real survey, they find out real quick that they might not have as much acreage as they think they do.
Would you look at this aerial, it can be up to 16
Well, you
foot
know
off.
what, I'm gonna tell you.
Either way.
I was just gonna say, this one doesn't bother me as much as the situations that we also do, where, our ordinance says you can rezone an unspecified X acres, and then you have to record a plat within, was it 4 months now, 6 months? 6 months. For the rezone to be valid. This one, at least, you're rezoning an entire existing piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're not losing anything but their rezone application fee, which they've already lost anyway.
Yeah. I just, it's, because they want to go to A2, so let's say they move this line over and this line over, as long as they have the acreage that they say they do, it would work out. But if they have less, not all of them may fit into A2.
say something about the survey, because I know I've been through this. A lot of acreage around here, especially if people and families and stuff say, okay, well, Johnny's acreage starts here and the roads or that rock, I ran into this down in Comer. The rock is the line, the guideline.
Or that old pine tree.
Yeah. And now that takes
Where the dog's buried underneath, yeah.
that takes it back to the county. Now, when they get those surveys, the county gotta do a lot of going back, right?
Say that again, man?
After I got my survey, it had to go back to the county, because the county had to record.
Yeah, if you want your survey recorded,
Yeah.
then it has to be approved by Christopher's office to make sure the lots meet the.
It all has to be done by a licensed professional surveyor.
Right, but so,
It has to have their-
that's what I said, if they say it's not gonna be recorded, we're not gonna have it in. So that's what I'm saying, but that's cost a lot of money. A lot of people are not gonna put out that money for a survey. And like I said, then it goes back to, they gotta do a lot of work, going back, recording all this and everything.
No, we don't do surveys.
No, I know not the survey, but
They don't record
not
flats
that,
either.
if I bring my survey in and tell them I want it
Approved.
approved, it doesn't go in their records?
No,
Because it's county records.
Yeah.
Well, if you bring your survey in, so you hire a license, so Christopher's office will approve it, and the clerk of court won't record it unless it's by a Georgia licensed surveyor.
Right. That's what I'm
So
saying.
that's one of the requirements. So you get your survey done by a licensed surveyor, you bring it to Christopher, you make sure that all your setbacks and minimum acreage and all that, he signs off on it, taxes are paid, then it goes to the clerk of court to be recorded. And then those lots it shows now become the lots of record.
Right. And what used to be on the survey and stuff is all, they have to go back and redo it. Because I'm bringing in a new survey.
What it used to be.
The county has to update their records.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, but that's just part of their daily job.
That's normal.
Yeah.
They may have to go out and reset pins if something.
Oh, yeah, that's
doesn't
what I'm
make-
saying, yeah. So it's,
County didn't reset, yeah.
No,
Surveyor, I'm sorry.
Surveyor. No, we want all the new surveys we can get.
Yeah.
We would love to have accurate maps and records.
Well, it just gives us accurate
Right.
information here too, because, I mean, we've had before where we've gotten a certain thing, and when the people show up, it's a totally different site plan, and, so,
well then, because they gotta show a site plan anyway. It's gotta go through the site plans anyway. So they can come in.
Well, if we had a survey, now we allow people just to come in with site plans.
Right.
Which as often somebody drew something on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is not allowing that anymore, having a real survey.
Right.
Such as this one, and it might, and I'm not sure with Ms. Tracy if there was a misunderstanding with Flagstaff lots. When the survey got brought in, and we had actual pins dropped or footages given, this may be an estimate, because obviously these lines are overlapping at some strange points.
Right.
If we had a recorded survey, or I mean not a recorded, but a survey in place of a site plan, the surveyor might be able to go ahead and tell them, you need 150 foot instead of 95.
Right.
Well, we don't want to come any further over on this lake right here. Well, that's great. Make this a little narrower and a little longer. It's another site, or another set of eyes, another knowledge base that could come in to help us catch stuff like this.
So that's
Because
what
right
we're
now
doing.
it's just Miss Tracy until I get the packet at the same time that y'all do.
So is
And
that
then
a
that's
leak?
when
Is
I
that
try
a
to
leak
catch
right
everything.
there? I'm sorry, is that a leak right there?
Yes, ma'am. This is the lake.
So they're not gonna be able to move that.
so you're not seeing any of this stuff till we see it?
Correct.
Then it's too late, right? To catch
Very
any,
narrow.
I mean, we've already advertised everything. Well, that's the problem. I'll say it.
There's only one set of eyes on it until the packets go out.
And nothing against Tracy, but when you're looking at them all day, you know, you don't catch certain things. The more eyes on it, the better.
So most of the time when the packets go out, on a regular basis, either Todd or Christina calling me, or me calling Todd or Christina, get a hold of the paper, or do you have so-and-so cell phone number because they're not picking up their house line, and we try to get ahead of it as quick as possible.
So that's more reason to have a survey.
It just puts another set of eyes on it, back to
It's more reason to have a survey.
But now, since it was, and Mike, you keep me in line, since they have listed acreages, and it has been advertised for specific acreages, the only thing we could do is, during the rezoning, we're not gonna approve the site as it's listed. We'll approve on the condition that each parcel have a minimum of 150 foot. That may change the acreage.
Yeah, again, if you want to make that a condition, but you don't have to, because, on that one, yeah, well,
Since they gave Tracy numbers saying this is gonna be 17, this is gonna be 11, this is gonna be 13, and something, they may not wanna lose.
well, this is what I was trying to explain last night, and apparently doing a very poor job of it. What people tell us their intent is not binding.
Yes.
Unless it's made a condition of the rezone.
That was when you and Todd
Right.
had a conversation.
Actually, I was, I think, more Terry and me. I had conversations. I had 2 or 3 last night. And so, you know, I'd never really focused on the fact that you're actually advertising people's intent. I don't think that changes the law. I mean, the law is clear, but, there's tons of cases out there where counties and cities try to hold people to their stated intent without making it putting it in the motion as a condition, and the courts always say, tough luck, Charlie. But I don't think advertisement changes that, but it is misleading to advertise.
You saw where some of the direction was coming to.
Yeah, rezone advertisements, I think if you look at the ones the guy does down in Oconee, they're pretty short. It's going to be rezone this parcel from this classification to that classification, period.
That's where I'd like to get to.
But on the other side of that, he and his staff are requiring a lot of information in the zoning application, including a survey, and they're preparing resolutions that contain conditions to go to the
Yeah, but they're gonna have to
commission
figure something
and
out anyway, because
commissioners
they can't.
to be approved. So there's less detail.
No, I agree, it can't be
in
on
ash,
the
there's a lot more requirements placed on.
It would also help them if
Talking
they
here,
like
but that's the right error, because you're not misleading the public with stuff that's not binding, you're actually putting more restrictions on the applicant that the public already has, which is fine.
Okay, is that all on that one?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, any further questions on that one? No. Okay. Now, to the discussion of what we want to put on the agenda for next month. As far as discussion on requiring facts prior to rezone request.
I just don't know the verbiage or how we need to, exactly the process of when we need the survey. I mean, the survey would be nice at what point? Initial
They
contact
can make
or?
the application, they can apply for the application, come in, they have to pay half the fee up front. Then they bring in all supporting documents at the interview time, and that would be ideally where they would bring it in.
Okay.
If they come and apply for it, they come back in.
So
But that's more detailed than we have in the ordinance.
Yes.
So from the ordinance standpoint, it would just be a survey from a licensed surveyor is required as part of the application package.
Okay.
Can I,
Even I could write
tell
that.
Stephanie, now surveys, and I know you can't do them tomorrow. Just like, it might take months, or, so how does that affect?
It's normalized more so now. You can There's several of them, not anyone that's represented at this table in their organization. But there are others that are in the community that you can get things done in a pretty timely manner currently, in a couple weeks now.
If I didn't know my surveyor, I wouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna make it clear so there's no, I'm not trying to require surveys because we do less than 1% of surveys in this county. So it's not our business is not here. So I wanna make that clear. I'm not requiring that
That's why
for
my
that
question
reason.
is right.
Yeah, I'm not requesting it for that reason.
I guess my point on what I was trying to bring about is that we put it on the agenda to have this discussion,
To have our discussion.
to have our
later today.
discussion at our next business meeting.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Everybody would be
As
able
simple
to-
as that, not to come up with the,
And also potentially vote at that meeting.
right, the real plan, but to put the discussion on the table and to vote at that time
Yes, sir.
as to, what we want to do, or what we want to recommend.
Yes, sir.
Just a point of clarification, if the survey was a requirement, would that lessen the likelihood that we're doing these advertisements with erroneous information?
Absolutely, yeah.
It would help. Would it do away with it? Not necessarily.
No, but I like the idea. I know Franklin County, I think, does the same. They're very limited on their wordage.
Yeah.
Just going from AR, or R1, A1 to A2, doesn't really give the full.
Franklin County does, because I sit on some of their boards. You have the property owner, and whether or not they have somebody, just like us, an applicant or somebody that's presenting for them, they have the location, map and parcel, zone or variance. The variance and condition you have to get a little verbiage from public for that. Because if you just throw up there, Mr. Scott is applying for 00 somewhere road condition, we have to list the condition. If he's wanting to put a steeple on his house and it's too high, according to our zoning, he's getting a condition or a variance to allow that. But a standard rezone, yes, it would cut down the verbiage.
Do we also want to put on the agenda about reducing the AR lot size?
Well, that has to be brought back to us, I guess, from the board.
Technically, y'all can.
I mean, you're off the map now anyway. I mean, there's nothing that says you can or can't make recommendations.
Fine.
I think at least a lot of commissioners would agree that's something they want y'all to do, is make
Let's do it.
recommendations.
Well, I know the chairman wants us to do it, so let's do it. Put it on the agenda.
Can we take it as in one vote, both of those on the agenda?
Yeah.
Somebody.
I make a motion that we put on the agenda about requiring the survey and bringing back the conversation on AR.
I'll second.
Moving properly second. Is there any discussion?
The only discussion I would like to bring up is what is bringing us back to this moment and doing things in haste. So as we prepare to discuss or take this vote, let's please slow down and let's look at the overarching fact that we are hopefully going to rewrite the entire zoning ordinance as opposed to this little bite here, little bite there, possibly with the overreach, with the change that we made. Let's not, let's make sure we're doing our due diligence and not having to come back again on another one at a later date before we're able to take up the whole zoning rewrite.
All right, any others?
What's the zoning rewrite?
We're out for an RFQ right now.
When would it realistically, what time
How
frame?
long does it take?
18 months.
Okay, all right.
So
If anybody
Well, that's
says less than
a factor
18 months,
consider, yeah.
they
18 months for an entire rewrite.
Mhm.
Are we allowed to take bits and pieces, like our first point of business, can that be AR that we discussed with the third party? Then can we take that bit and change it if we decide before the whole rewrite's done?
Are you asking about making some small changes to our existing ordinance in
Yeah.
the meantime? Sure, yeah, that's what Derek Chandler and I talked about, is it worthwhile, doing as he said, Band-Aids in the meantime. Now that we know it's gonna take that long, yeah.
That's what I mean, if we have to wait 18 months, that's a long time, but if we can have really great discussions with a third party and implement some things that we know that we want to change, if we decide to change. that
And
we-
now what your third party's gonna do is probably gonna look nothing like your new ordinance. It's probably gonna have to come in all at once. It's gonna be easy to see. I thought what you meant was just fixing little things that even though we know we're gonna have a new ordinance, we would love to go ahead, at least for the next 18 months, actually have surveys. That'd be nice even with our existing ordinance.
Well, what I'm saying is that if we get a recommendation from our third party on changing AR, can we change that like immediately, or do we have to wait for the whole?
Well, yeah, no, you can make, I mean, we can still continue making text amendments to our existing ordinance. I'm just saying, this consultant I think it's highly unlikely they're going to use the same format we have so that it translates that way. It's just gonna be a totally different animal.
Well, the bottom line is we've got to operate for the next 18 months, you know. So if there's something that's gonna make our life better, or make the county's life better, or make it even better, then we need to do it.
Yeah. I just don't know how much, I guess what I'm saying is I don't know how much of the consulting work is gonna translate to an obvious epiphany of, oh, we need to change AR from this to that, because they're just gonna be looking at a whole new framework. But there may be some of those points that we wanna Band-Aid what we got.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Can you restate the motion so we can clear?
I make a motion that we put on the agenda that we will require a survey at the time of application, and also put on the agenda the discussion for AR, changing AR, or just a discussion in general about
This is solely
AR.
discussion.
Just discussion, no.
Well, I think does that mean you wouldn't vote on the recommendation of the board until the meeting after that? You don't have to, I'm just asking what.
You don't have
your
to, but it could end up in a vote once we had the discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying what you're recommending now is just
Just
discussion.
an open discussion, that's it.
Basically, we've got a month to research, ask questions, and fill out for both matters.
So sometimes the way I've seen this on the reason I'm asking is, discuss, so using the terms discuss versus consider. I think that's what the DOC does, is, if you just say discuss, the implication is you're not gonna vote on it.
Okay.
So you might wanna put this one on as consider these items,
Consider these
which
two items.
means you may vote on them or you may not.
Would we want to make that a part of the business meeting? Because, I mean, we're going to have the public at the next meeting, correct? And we've got 12 items, potentially
Right.
12.
We wanna make that part of the business meeting. What she just made the motion on, for the business meeting, not the public hearing. The public hearing will take the rezone request.
Clarifying.
Just clarifying the details. Thank you, sir.
Because that's a whole lot to
When I
it.
hear next meeting, I'm
No.
Yeah.
Next business.
Next business.
Next business meeting.
Thank you. Discuss versus consider. I have no brain, all right?
All right, let's vote. Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Turn on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else, urgent that we need to talk about tonight, old business? Won't be long before the dog kennel thing will pop back up.
I'm hoping to have it on the agenda for October, for it to, November, for us, the training that started on Monday, it carries through the rest of this week. The resources and information that came piling out, just not from the lady from UGA and Shake Rag and Valhalla Kennels. So much input. We've been blessed at this meeting to have people from Ohio, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, and Georgia, and the wealth of knowledge rolling in. so much more than I've been able to pick up.
Does that moratorium expire? Is it in?
End of this year.
So, if you're gonna try to get it done before the
I
moratorium
got
does,
this month.
yeah, I mean, but it's gonna have to be public hearing here, November, and DOC in
DC.
December, okay.
And that's what they have planned in their time
Is
schedule.
it? Okay.
And just so y'all know, anything that we discuss or that comes before us is calendared out prior to me putting anything on. They've got to make sure they have room on the DOC agenda to deal with anything for us.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Everybody have a great evening.
Well, sir. Thank you, Mr. Briggs. Can you have those ready, those minutes ready tomorrow? They don't want-
Yeah, hold your breath. We'll see what happens.
Well, there,
Hey, Ms. Teresa, if you will, show it closed or they.
I gotta take a group of,
Sitting too long.
I gotta take a group of.
Sir.
sir.